Thank you for tuning into the newest edition of the CLOC Member Spotlight. Today, we're fortunate to welcome in Lisa Kremer Brown. Lisa is the Managing Director of Operations and Strategy, Law and Corporate Affairs at Starbucks. She's also the current leader of the CLOC Pacific Northwest Regional Group. Lisa, thank you for taking the time today to speak with CLOC.
Thank you, Kevin. It's my pleasure to be here.
So everyone has a different story about their journey to legal ops. How did you first get into legal operations?
Great question. So I am not a lawyer by training or trade. I actually have a business school degree from the University of Washington. Most of my career prior to stepping into the legal operations realm about 6.5 years ago was actually in the technology space. So I worked in support of CIO organizations as opposed to general counsel. So I had a lot of experience in financial management, in project management, process, all of those kinds of things. So I would consider myself a finance person and or project manager by training and trade. The opportunity to join Starbucks legal department came up, and I felt like the skill set I had acquired and developed through my work in technology would be applicable in the legal realm. I applied for the position and was successful in getting it, and have learned a ton since then. So absolutely the background and experience was applicable, but there was a lot that I had yet to learn and a lot that I have learned in the time that I've been in the role. So it was perhaps a non-traditional adventure here, but given that I manage now the finances as well as technology platform records and projects for the legal department, as well as the other functions that report up through our general counsel, I think it was good training to set me up for success in this role.
Great. And we see a lot of people who are new to legal ops finding CLOC and becoming members. When did you originally join CLOC, and what was your main reason for joining?
So for avoidance of confusion, CLOC has been a lifesaver for me. So I started in the role that I have presently in October of 2013, and was fortunate enough to get connected to somebody who knew about CLOC, which at the time, of course, existed just in the Bay Area. And so I actually joined CLOC, participated in my first meeting in the Bay Area in January of 2014. So I was part of the book club group before the not-for-profit organization actually was established and has grown to the size that it is today. So I really, at that very first meeting, felt like I had found my people. Again, moving into the legal space, coming out of sort of project management and financial management with things that are, let's say, more predictable. I felt at a loss for really how to deal with some of the ambiguities, a lot of the ambiguities that are associated with managing legal work and a legal department. So again, the first meeting there for me was like, I found my people, and I've learned again a ton, and I'm happy to pay it forward and give back.
Yeah, and just to go along with that, how do you feel CLOC has benefited you in your professional role?
Yeah, just again, the first sort of aha was, okay, I'm not crazy. I had a lot to learn, obviously, about the way that the law works and legal works. And it was really reassuring for me to understand that a lot of the challenges I was seeing in my company and in the department that I was trying to help to manage and to support are not unique, right? That there are other people who were having the same issues and that had solved some of the challenges that I was wrestling with. So I would attribute really my ability to lay out a strategy and really think through what were going to be the highest value projects and efforts to get after in support of the department really came through my interactions with the members of CLOC and really helped me gain a solid understanding of, again, sort of where the value was and which efforts I should undertake first.
Yeah, so you mentioned a lot of challenges that you've come up against during your career. I'm sure COVID's provided many challenges. What would you say has been the biggest legal ops challenge, and how did you overcome it at the time, or are you still working on it?
I'd say actually we're still working on it, quite frankly. So, of course, the company I work for is in the retail operations space, and just really trying to help ground the team, so the operations team as well as the legal teams in what can we anticipate. And from an operations perspective, a lot of that is going to mean what can we anticipate in terms of actions that may be filed against the company, or where are we going to see the trends, and how can I best help the department be set up for success in terms of being able to respond to this uncertain time that we're in. I think for me, part of the greatest challenge has been, a lot of what I do is connect the dots with and for people. And so sitting in my living room and working fairly independently here, I'm certainly connected with folks pretty much 12 hours a day online, but a lot of the informal communication that happens in an office setting is what informs my ability to understand really what's going on around the place, and I'm missing that. So really deliberately ensuring that we're taking efforts to stay connected with folks is I think been premier to my sense of feeling like I can continue to stay ahead of things and make a difference for the team.
Yeah, and what I've seen is that as legal ops grow, the field is growing, CLOC is also growing with it kind of simultaneously. What would you say is one thing you would tell to one of your fellow CLOC members to become more involved in the growth of legal operations as a profession or in the role of legal ops?
Yeah, again, I really attribute my success in this role in large part to CLOC. I really, being able to source and speak with people who are willing to share, who have ideas that are similar to those that I have, who've been through, the kinds of things maybe that I'm wrestling with. I think the value of the community and the willingness to be transparent and open and share is really invaluable. And so I guess my recommendation to anybody who's new to the group or to the industry would be to, ask your questions, reach out. It is a tremendous community. There is a lot to be gained through networking and through really leaning on and leveraging the learnings of others that have come before us.
And I know I mentioned during your introduction that you are also currently a regional leader with one of our CLOC regional groups in the Pacific Northwest. What do you find most important about being involved in a CLOC regional group, from the time that you started versus now? How do you feel the development has occurred, as well as, what would you tell people that they should be more involved, or why they should be more involved in the regional groups?
Yeah, so our regional group actually started up really kind of simultaneous with the CLOC organization kind of getting traction and setting up more groups regionally across the country and the world. And so we had a fairly well established connection with one another already. And I do think that while, there are certain trends that hold true across industry, there's definitely value in regional groups. I'm stating the obvious. People, I think, from the Pacific Northwest have a certain way of being and of interacting. And I think that there's camaraderie that comes through connecting with those who are in your region. I think that the issues we're wrestling with are in large part similar. We've also had over time a number of folks that have joined the group new. And so I think we have a really nice diversity of folks who I would say are fairly advanced in terms of their legal operations journey, and some that are, teams of one or two and just really starting up. And so I think the breadth of experience and really the diversity of industry really contributes to the rich knowledge base that the team can bring to bear. And so while we may not be the best at, getting a strict agenda together, the conversations we have together are always really insightful, and I always feel energized coming away from them.
CLOC is grateful to have leaders like you to be a part of this growth. Like you said, it is tough wrangling people sometimes, but it's great to have the involvement and the engagement of people in your specific community. So again, we're very grateful to have you involved.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lisa, for taking the time today to provide your insight and experiences of the CLOC. It's been really great.
Appreciate it. Happy to
I also appreciate everyone watching at home, and encourage all of you to like this video, subscribe to the CLOC channel. We plan on putting out even more content this summer.